For my research, I went to the Natsoulas Art Gallery in downtown Davis. This gallery has ever-changing exhibits and is currently showing a California landscape exhibition, a set of paintings of the California landscapes. Right as you walk into the room, the name of the exhibition is clearly displayed. The gallery space is very large, open, and simple, with paintings spaced around the room and a few benches. I like how simple this room is, as it's not to distract from the art. Sunburst by Felipe Gendol is an oil-on canvas of a lone ship sitting in a harbor as the sun sets in the distance. The use of the bright colors at the center of the screen, while contrasting the dark objects such as the boat and the hills, implies that the sun is just breaking the horizon. This painting is an acrylic on panel called White Roof Barn by D.A. Bishop, depicting a realistic barn on a typical cloudless day in agricultural Davis. This painting is an oil-on canvas by Leslie Toms called Afternoon Light. It depicts a farm in a slightly less realistic way, with bright, colorful orchards, leaning more towards an abstract take on the landscape. This oil-on canvas, called Manuela's Pond by Katie Thompson, shows the setting of the sun over the foothills. We can see its dusk with the shadows of the tree reflecting on the pond. This painting has larger strokes and is less detailed than the others. Union Street, an oil-on canvas by Sarah Lamb, depicts a quiet morning on a small street in Monterey Bay. I like the cool hue and the feeling of the calmness when gazing upon the painting. Jeff Belaros's Opening shows a city skyline from what seems to be the underside of an overpass. This painting is surprisingly similarly calm, despite the chaotic nature of a city. Farmhouse, an oil-on canvas by Sarah Lamb, is a painting of a classic farmhouse which is common when heading to the edge of town. Local farmers like to let their animals free roam on their property. This painting, called Vineyard by Julie Smiley, is another oil-on canvas landscape. The painting has a clear skyline in depth, with a fence in the foreground and what looks like windmills off in the distance. In contrast to the other paintings so far, this one has a darker hue and almost looks storm-like. YOLO, 5 Trees and Oil on Linen by Pat Mahoney also has a defining horizon, but is much more abstract and colorful, which I really enjoy about this piece. Sod Factory by Boyd Gavin touches on the industrial side of an agricultural landscape. The big containers pictured hold the seeds used for making the sod. This artist uses a complex combination of colors, making a photorealistic shadow and reflection on the water. In the middle of the exhibit resides 2 benches, not only for sitting and viewing, but also as art pieces. Phil Gross's April Clouds have a very methodical brushstroke. The scenery of the landscape appears to have no perfectly horizontal or vertical lines, making the art realistic to the location it was painted at. Nut Tree at Sunset by Myron Steffens is an oil-on canvas of a shopping mall 2 towns over from here. Steffens rightfully highlights the Nutcracker sculpture as it is the main attraction day and night. The combination of the light blue sky and the deep reds show how beautiful a sunset is here. Annie Zhang's Golden Hour uses vibrant warm colors and contrasting darks to show the sun setting in the foreground. The picture shows an agricultural landscape where various fields are highlighted by different colors. It's important to note that no 2 are identical next to one another. Howd Water by Gabe Campbell is an oil-on canvas showing a dam that hasn't let out its water in a long time. This could be signifying the drought California underwent for many years. The texture of the painting is very rough on the rocks and smooth across the water. Sarah Lamb's Valencia Club at Night has very soft edges and earthy colors. The neon light is the main point of the piece, as the back sky and ground are both very dark colors. The club appears to have been around for a while, as the letters are starting to fade at the top of the sign. Sky Trail by Wendy Schwartz was one of my favorite pieces to look at. The painting reminds me of when I used to take a lot of morning hikes in the bay, where the fog was always prevalent in the morning to midday. The softness of the colors highlights the effect that the fog has on the painting. Felipe Gandio's Afternoon on San Vicente has very fluffy dollops of paint and few hard edges. The colors have faded hue to them, signifying the history of the scene and that it's been around for a while. The Bridge, by Chela Gonzalez, contains short brush strokes, reasonably so when fitting a masterpiece on an 11 by 14-inch canvas. The colors of the landscape are all very cool, and the water is a velvety turquoise. The light tapping of the paintbrush creates a nice effect of clouds and spray from the waterfall. Chela Gonzalez's second, Oil on Canvas, Checks in Water, depicts an animal grazing spot where they can also stop to get water. Her use of various shades of brown give life and richness to the earth. Chela Gonzalez's third painting is Oil on Panel, called Vineyard 1. The red leaves on the trees and the yellow to the vineyard implies that the changing of the seasons from summer to fall. Her brushstrokes appear not to be calculated and are just free-flowing. Height Street by Bud Gordon is one of the more abstract pieces in the exhibit. For example, by mixing the purple with the brown wood and on the rooftops, the longer you look at this piece, the more places and things your eyes catch onto. Seeing all the art within this landscape exhibit made me feel right at home. Growing up, I would always venture out into the farm fields to escape from everyday life, to just enjoy the nature that was around me. Seeing how these artists captured nature in their own light has opened my eyes to be able to interpret the world from a different perspective. When walking out into the space, all the art was well lit up from tucked away hanging lights in such a way that the art was the centerpiece of the room. Going even deeper, the walls being painted a plain white allowed the viewer to take in all the elements going on in the painting. When I have art in my house someday, I'm going to structure it very much the same way, such that it is the main event when looking at the wall.